And you may find yourself living in a little gap. And you may find yourself in the middle of Athlone. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of an Opel Corsa. And you may find yourself in the beautiful gaff with the beautiful missus. You may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go, boy. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go, boy. Water flowing underground into the blue again. After the money's gone, once in a lifetime. Water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself, how do I work this? You may ask yourself, where is that large Opel Corsa? And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful gaff. And you may tell yourself, this is not me, missus. Let the days go, boy. Let the water hold me down. Let the days go, boy. Water flowing underground into the blue again. Turn the immersion on. I want some hot water. Water flowing underground. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Has it changed? No, same as it ever was. Is it any different? No, same as it ever was. Is it different? No, same as it ever was. Is it the same? Yeah, it's same as it ever was. It's the bloody same as it ever was. Water dissolving and water removing. There is water at the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, remove the water. From the bottom of the ocean. Let the days go, boy. Let the water hold me down. Let the days go, boy. Water flowing underground into the blue again. In the silent water, under the rocks and stones, there is bugs and worms right there. Let the days go, boy. Let the water heat up now. Going to have a shower. Going to go right into town, into the blue again, until the money's gone. Going to get plastered. Water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself, what is that beautiful gap? And you may ask yourself, where does the immersion go to? And you may ask yourself, am I right? Am I wrong? And you may say to yourself, for fuck's sake, what have I done? Let the days go, boy. Let the water hold me down. Let the days go, boy. Water flowing underground into the blue again. Into the silent water. Under the rocks and stones, there is water underground. Let the days go, boy. Leaving the immersion on too long. Let the days go, boy. Hoovering up against the door, making your bed again. It'll be made tomorrow. Washing the sheets when they start to smell. Same as it ever was. 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 Time isn't holding us. Time isn't after us. Just that man I need to get revenge on. He's waiting for me. He's going to kill me. I didn't know it was his wife. I didn't know. She said she wasn't married, even though I saw a tan line round her ring finger. Same as it ever was. Oh, I'm an innocent man. Oh, let the days go, boy. Let the days go, boy. Once in a lifetime. Hey, Salmon Skins, how's it going? Welcome to episode 17. I said, how's it going there, as if someone can respond directly. You can't respond directly. Well, I mean, if you want to, leave a review and tell me how you're going, or even where you're going in that review, and just make it 5 stars. Leave a review, download the podcast and never listen to it. It doesn't matter. It all helps. Recommend it to someone to download and not listen to, or listen to it and ask me questions. If there's any sort of things you want me to actually talk about knowledge-wise, then let me know. But first off, I'm going to hit you with some actual knowledge, because I don't think there's enough knowledge in this podcast where the name is Edwin Sammon of Knowledge. So here's an animal fact for you. Giraffes are actually secret dinosaurs. That's true. They are related to dinosaurs directly. They're the only ones that have survived, but they've evolved to look slightly different. I know that's not true. Of course they're not dinosaurs. The closest ancestors we have to dinosaurs are crocodiles and alligators, who are kind of unchanged through. It's same with sharks, except, I mean, you had megalodons. See, that's the only thing that's happened is they've evolved to get smaller. The basic design of them hasn't changed because they're very well designed as sort of hunting and killing machines. But they've only gotten smaller. Like a great white shark back in the day was massive, called a megalodon, or the Meg, until Jason Statham came along and killed them all and made them extinct. How did he do that? He just found the plug that was rendering all the computer graphics, and he just plugged it out and went, boom, and that was the end. That was the last megalodon in that movie where the megalodon was voiced by Sean Connery. I am the last megalodon. I'll eat the shit out of you, Jason Statham. I don't care how much testosterone you have. Here's a Sean Connery fact. Sean Connery wore a wig in every James Bond movie. That was quite shocking to me because you can usually tell if someone is wearing a wig. Of course, it was back in the day. It was in the 60s, whenever the first James Bond movie was, 63 or something like that. And yeah, because he was balding and bald, and he wore a wig, and a very good wig. I never ever noticed that he was wearing a wig, except when it came to Never Say Never Again, when I'd seen him in other roles where he hadn't worn a wig at all, and he was just bald. And I was like, oh yeah, Sean Connery's bald. I was like, wait, how long has he been bald? Because I went bald in my early 20s. So I think Sean must have, because I mean, he's equally, a rugged, handsome, hirsute man. And although we differ on our views on open-handed slapping, I'm against it. He thinks it's okay. But that's Sean's deal. But if you watch those old movies, like there's so many dodgy special effects that don't hold up, like when he's driving the car and he's obviously on a sound stage and there's like a blue screen or rear projection, I think is actually the technical name for it. So it just looks off, and he's not actually on a road driving the actual car. And like that looked so fake. But the whole time he's driving that car on that fake road, he's got fake hair. It was just very well done. They must have spent a lot of money on the wig for him. That must have been a large part of the budget. Because you see, like, I see men of a certain age, and and I'm not talking about men in their sort of late 20s or early 30s. I'm talking about men in their late 50s and up, when they've reached a point where I'm going to say maybe they shouldn't be that concerned about how they look. I'm not saying that you can't be old and vain. Of course you can. But the problem is they've got this Neapolitan ice cream shit going on with their syrups, which is a word we use in Ireland here for wigs, because their hair is whatever their natural hair color is, that's what they want. They're like, you've got the crust, basically, which is what I've got. Typical male pattern baldness is, I call it the crust. God bought me a pizza, ate all of it, and left me the crust. He bought me a hair pizza, and all I have is the crust. And that grows in a kind of horrible, wiry kind of way. So I usually shave it. But, I'm a man in my 40s now, and I'm grey, and my hair is grey. And if I was to get a wig, I would get a wig that would match that hair color. I wouldn't get the hair color that I had when I was 16 years old, which is what a lot of these old men have. There's like men in their sort of, like a 63-year-old man with a shock of like black hair, jet black hair, and then a crust underneath of grey and black, but mostly grey. And it just looks like you're wearing some sort of weird hair hat. And you're not. Just accept it, accept that you're bald, and move on, or else get a better wig that actually looks like real old hair. You know, it's like, I don't know, you look at guys like Robert Redford, and because I was watching Captain America the Winter Soldier, where Robert Redford's in it as the, spoiler alert, shock, twist, bad guy, and he's like old, but he's got a fine head of hair in him, but his locks are, his sideburns, if you guys are listening in America, his sideburns are like greying, and I was thinking, how is his sideburns grey and his hair is still got that sort of blondie, sort of cool, almost seemingly natural hair colour? But then I was like, does he dye? Does he dye his sideburns to say, oh yeah, I'm a little bit grey, but that's as far as it goes? It's like your man Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones, who claims to have gypsy hair, and that's why his hair is just black and has never gone grey. Gypsy hair? What the hell is that supposed to mean? That it's like some sort of magic hair that never goes grey because he's got gypsy blood in him? I mean, what? What's he talking about? I mean, if I got like I don't have like a hairy grey back because I'm related to gorillas. Oh, wait a minute. I am. We all are. There's another fact for you. I will say this about Sean Connery, though. He is very old. He's 90 now, I think, at this stage. And he's never coming back. He's never doing a comeback, remake. The one time he did that was in 1983 when he did Never Say Never Again, which is the unofficial James Bond movie. Not produced by the Broccoli family, who made their fortune in vegetables and parlayed that fortune into funding a series of spy movies, misogynistic spy movies, where women have sex with James Bond and then die pretty soon after, or during it sometimes. And Sean said, "No, I'll never do another James Bond ever again." How much? Okay. And he did it for a lot of money, and they called it Never Say Never Again because he said he'd never do it again. And in that movie, he is wearing a wig. And again, I have to say, it's a really good wig because they have aged the wig. It's an age-appropriate wig. Unlike a lot of his movies in the 90s where he was teamed up with a non-age-appropriate female co-star. Like that movie Entrapment, where he plays the best cat burglar in the world. And like when I saw the trailer for that movie, or not trailer, the poster for it, I don't think I've ever even seen the trailer. Maybe I have. I think I saw it on an old VHS that I wore out rewinding, because there's a bit where Catherine Zeta-Jones like slides under lasers and she's wearing these like black leggings. And, you know, this was pre-internet, so we had to take what we could get. And I just assumed, like Sean Connery's playing her dad, and he's teaching her all the ways of the cat burglar lifestyle and how to steal as many cats as you can, and diamonds and whatever else that those people steal. But no, like there's a whole romantic thing going on, and it's just not believable. Now, it's kind of believable in the sense that Catherine Zeta-Jones did marry an older man, who now, Michael Douglas, who now looks very old. I mean, poor Kirk passed away, but he was like 129 or something. But Michael Douglas, he looks very old. But then he got fierce shook looking after his brush with cancer. He had throat cancer, which he got through. But it aged him. It aged him horribly. And now he kind of looks his age. All that shagging probably took it out of him as well. Poor old Michael Douglas. Now, Michael Douglas's, he stopped Michael Keaton from having his real name, because Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas. And when he started off in Hollywood, he was like, I'm going to be the greatest star in the world. Michael Douglas, they're going to know the name. Well, hang on a second. My name already sounds familiar. That sounds like a famous person's name. I'm going to do great. And then he Googled it, or whatever the version of Google was back in the day. He looked up an encyclopedia, or maybe he just opened the phone book and rang all the Michael Douglases that were in the phone book to say, are you a movie star? But no, of course, Michael Douglas was a big time movie actor and producer by that stage, so he had to change his name. But there you go. That's a bit of knowledge. It's only a tiny bit of knowledge. Anyway, guys, we're going to take a short little break, unless you're a patron, in which case you don't hear these breaks at all. If you want to sponsor me, I'll be going door to door, selling lines for €3, and I'll be doing the walk on Thursday week. No, if you want to go to Patreon and look up Edwin Sammon of Knowledge, you can give me some money, and I'll give you some funny content. And lots of funny content and lots of movie podcasts in the works, which will be coming out in the next couple of weeks exclusively for patrons. So anyway, here's a break. Bye-bye, 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 Edwin Sammon of Knowledge. A break now. We're back from the break. And we're back from the break. Guys, listen, speaking of knowledge, I am a man who knows a lot of things about movies. I know certain things. I've acquired a lot of knowledge. But thinking back to when I was a child, I was so dumb. I was as dumb as a sack of hammers and twice as useless. And my experiences growing up were so, like, here's something that I never realized until, well, this is something that I didn't know when I was a kid, and actually throughout most of my adulthood, where I thought when I saw a tin of tuna fish, I thought tuna fish were incredibly small, like little minnows or like sardines, because tuna fish came in a little tin. So my young child brain went, little tin, little fish, that's how it works. But of course, tuna fish are massive. And I never realised this. I never realised it. And I was like, well, how many tins of tuna can you get from one fish? Blew my mind. But I was so naive, and you get taken advantage of when you're a kid. And, you know, I mean, I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever tried to fool a child just for a laugh. But I remember being out in my grandparents' house out in the country in Ferban, and across the road was a family, and they were farmers and they had cows, and we used to go down to the hay shed and play house with the neighbour girls, and it was terrible. It was like, you know, I was always worried about the mortgage, and the bank were going to come and take my bales of hay away if I didn't keep up my hay repayments. It was very stressful. I had a briefcase made of sticks, but there was one day we were walking out in the fields, and there was an electric fence. So they have this like electric fence which gives the cows, or anyone who touches it really, but it's to keep the cows away and keep them out of other fields. So the cows would go up and they get like a tiny shock, not like a massive shock, but enough to say, fuck off away from this and stay in your own field. And I remember everyone, like a couple of the boys, and I think my younger brother was probably there, and maybe my older brother was there as well. Hey Jules, hey Johnny, and they were like grabbing it, you know, for a laugh, because there was nothing else to do. We're out in the country, you had to get out and play, and they were just grabbing it and going, and going, oh Jesus, and daring other people to grab it. Now, I didn't get to sort of place your genitals upon the electric fence type thing. I was worried that it would for a while, and I didn't want to do that because I was only, you know, young, and I didn't want to be scared by either prepubescent or post-pubescent testicles. And So I put my hand on it and got a shock. And then I remember going back into the house, the neighbour's house, and we're all standing around. And someone said to me on the way back, one of the boys, I think that, were they called Malloys? I can't remember. One of the Malloy, we'll call them Malloys. One of the Malloy boys said, hey, do you know if you actually eat a banana now, you'll die? And I went, what? You know, if you grab an electric fence and then you eat a banana, it'll kill you. Just the reaction of your body. He said something like that, and I totally believed him. And then we went back into the house, and for the next 10 minutes, everyone was offering me bananas to eat. And I was just like, oh, no, I'm all right. And they were just very, very forcefully saying, go on, have a banana. What's the worst that could happen? I was like, oh, no. And I never twigged. I never copped on. Like, that's how naive and, I won't say dumb, just naive, because you don't know the ways of the world. You don't know how the world works. And they were obviously just joking me. And I never thought, why is everyone offering me banana just after that boy said, if I eat a banana, I'll die? What's all that about? Just so stupid. And I remember one thing that used to terrify me about sleeping in the countryside, and this is not something I think that city folk get. Now, I'm not a country bumpkin, as Cara would call me sometimes. I come from a small town. We had stuff in that town. We had a one-screen cinema. We had tennis courts. We had playgrounds. We had shops and people. Whereas out in my grandparents' house, we had like three neighbours. And that was it. We had an orchard that we built a tree house in. And what we would do is now the tree house wasn't very swanky. It was basically just 7 planks of wood laying across a sort of a clearing up in a tree. But we go up and sit down up there and spy on the neighbours. And sometimes we'd have these kind of old electric cables that, well, not connected to anything, just like, spare bits of cable. And we'd stick apples through the cables and we'd dangle them down, and cows would come over, and we'd sort of walk around the treehouse platform and just try and lead the cow around in a circle. And, it'd come over, it'd go to eat the apple, and we'd like lift it up, and it'd look up at us, sort of disappointed. I don't know what we called it, fishing for cows. Now, there was never a chance that the cow was going to chomp down on the apple, and we'd all just pull it up to the treehouse and like skin it and gut it and eat it like some sort of feral treehouse children. That never happened. But I remember sleeping in the spare room in my grandparents' house, and there was only one toilet in the house. I don't know why. I don't know why it was built like that. But and the toilet was at the very back of the house. Like, you had to go out of your room, onto the landing, down the stairs, through the living room, through the kitchen, and right at the back door was the toilet. So we had bedpans. So you get up and whiz into a bedpan. But sometimes you'd have to do number 2, and you couldn't do number 2 in the bedpan. So you'd have to walk all in, and I'm talking like pitch darkness, because in the countryside where there's no, there's no light, like there's no city lights, there's no light pollution. So you like open your eyes, close your eyes in bed, it's black. Whatever, doesn't matter if your eyes are open or closed, it's black. That's the country black, we used to call it. And in the bedroom I was sleeping in, I remember it terrified me as well. It was like something out of a horror movie. But I'd go to sleep, and in the windowsill were all these like dead flies, like blue bottles, and there's like about 30 or 40 of them, and I don't know why that was. I guess they all congregated there to have sex and die, but it just seemed like, this is a place where things come to die, and you're going to die now. It was terrifying. I remember one of the treats we used to get was jelly, but like raw jelly, as in, you get gelatin, or in America Jell-O, and it's solid kind of squares, and you'd boil water, and you'd stir it in, and you'd make a big bowl of jelly. You'd put it in, it'd melt in the hot water, and then you'd leave it to set, and that was jelly. But our granny used to we said, "Oh, can we have a treat? We want something to eat." And she'd just take out a block of raw jelly and give it to us, and we'd chew on it like it was a chocolate bar. And that was raw jelly. That's like eating a whole bowl of jelly. Like it's like drinking orange cordial without diluting it, just necking it straight from the bottle. It seems wrong. I don't know. I maybe it was just laziness on my granny's part that she couldn't be arsed boiling water like some sort of food scientist. And we'd all sit down. My granddad would when we ate dinner as well, my granddad used to drink milk. He didn't drink alcohol, but he had milk at every meal. And he didn't have any gums. Oh, sorry, he didn't have any teeth. He had gums, of course. Imagine if he had teeth but no gums. No, he had gums, but he had no teeth. And this wasn't weird to me until I grew up and realized, oh yeah, he didn't have any teeth. He just gummed his food like some sort of marsupial living in a tree. I just thought that everyone's granddad looked like that, because he was a bald man. He had crust and he had big glasses, and he kind of looked like a granddad. I mean, he was my granddad, but he looked like, like, we need a granddad from Central Casting. All right, get George Robinson. And he it worked for him, gumming his food. But the strangest thing that ever happened with my grandfather was something that, now I'm going to have to confirm. I think I confirmed this a while ago, a couple of years ago, with my father Jerry, who no emails from Jerry now because he's run out of things to talk about. My mum was on the phone just complaining about people not social distancing, and it's true. I saw a man across the road here this morning. I was out in the balcony having a cigarette, and there was an old lady with a mask on, and she must have been in her late 70s, I'd say, early 80s. And she's coming down with a trolley of stuff. She's gone to the shop, and this man walked up, and she was right outside his door, and he didn't step away from her and let her pass. He just opened his door, and his face was nearly in her face. And I felt like shouting down to him, "Hey, mate, there's a fucking pandemic on, but what's the point? You can only do your bit and hope that everyone else does their bit, and just be frustrated that they're not." But anyway, I asked Jerry, was this true? Because here's what happened, okay? We drove up the mountains, the Kennedy Mountains in Offaly, near Birr. We went for a drive. It was a lovely day. It was like a summer's day. I was very young at the time, which is why I kind of half remembered it. Or for a long time, I thought this was a dream, but it actually happened. My grandfather was terrified of heights, and we were driving, like we were on a road. We weren't like free climbing a mountain or, on the edge of something, or we weren't even particularly up that high. We were just driving around this winding road going up the mountains. And he got so terrified of heights that the solution to him being terrified, or the solution to him not being terrified anymore, was for him to get into the boot of the car, to have the boot closed, and then for us to drive back down the mountain with him in the boot of the car in darkness. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think if I was scared of heights and I was up a mountain, I wouldn't want to suddenly be in darkness in the boot of that car, not knowing where you're going or if you're close to the edge. It just seemed kind of weird. But at the time, it was like, this is just go in the boot of the car and that's fine. And I swear, for years I used to remember that, and I'd always go, "What? Oh, that was a weird dream I had one time." And then I'd stop and go, "No, wait, it wasn't a dream. It actually happened." So I'm going to have to ask for the details of that. I'll ask Jerry and see what he says. Hopefully I'll have Jerry on the podcast soon enough, and I'm going to have some guests on in the next few podcasts if I can, or the next few after this one. If I can wrangle some people on. I'll see what they're doing. They could be busy. They could be out traveling and going places. Oh, no, wait. Nobody's doing that. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. And to sing us out, Brendan Blowhard gave us his rendition of Once in a Lifetime. And now to sing us out, it's Brendan again with his another Talking Heads classic. It's Burning Down the House. Watch out, you might get what you're after. Cool babies, strange but not a stranger. I know what your name is now. Burning down the house. Hold tight, wait till the party's over. Hold tight, we're in for nasty weather. There has got to be a way. Burning down the house. Here's your ticket, pack your bags, time for jumping overboard. Transportation is here. Close enough but not too far, maybe you know where you are. Sure, just try Google Maps. It's really great now. All wet. Here you might need a raincoat. Shake down. Even though you are already drenched. 365 degrees, too hot. Burning down the house. It was once upon a place. Sometimes I listen to myself. Gonna come in first place. I'm really confident people on their way to work say, baby, what did you expect? Gonna burst into flame. It's too hot now. It's too hot. 365 degrees is too hot. You're gonna burst into flames. I'd rather be wet and drenched by my raincoat or burning down the house. My house is out of the ordinary. That's right. Don't want to hurt nobody's. Some things sure can sweep me off my feet. Burning down the house. No visible means of support, and you have not seen nothing yet. Everything's stuck together. This is an old Playboy, and I don't know what you expect. Staring into the TV set, fighting fire with fire. I turn it on now. You're not going to see anything if you don't turn on that TV set. You're just staring at the blank screen. You're just going to see your own reflection in the TV screen. Unless you really like looking at yourself. You're a little bit of a narcissist. That's okay. Maybe you're living alone during lockdown. You got nothing else to look at. You got no one else to see. Nothing to do. Eating cheese. Having dreams and eating cheese. About burning down your own house. Wearing a raincoat while you are drenched. Looking up Google Maps to find your own house. Cause that's what's going down. That's what's going down in the house. In the house. In the house. In the chat. for the insurance. Just make sure you've got a solid alibi. Go to a public place and make a scene. Shit yourself.